Thrive Guys, Episode 6, Battle Stations. How's your week been?
No, you first.
Okay.
I insist.
My week has been nuts. One of the things that I wrote just because I wanted to share something with you was just the number of meetings that I've had to be involved in this week. And I've taken the decision that I'm going to start time blocking next week.
As in just blocking out time for yourself?
Yeah. So I had a look at Toggle this morning, and 56% of my track time was spent in meetings. And that's 21 hours in a week, where I only tracked 45. So something that proportion is,
one of those things that you wouldn't have known if you hadn't have tracked it, right? So it's
exactly
pretty good that you're tracking it. One of the things I tend to use is the Shortcuts app on iPhone. You can just press a button; it'll block out an hour in your calendar.
Oh, that's
you can change the time frame, but you literally just would open up Shortcuts or have it as a shortcut on your desktop as like a little app. Just press the button and that's it. It just has. I think you can set whatever like title you want it to be in terms of just blocked out or do not disturb or personal time, whatever you want. But yeah, I can share that with you. I think it's probably one of Apple's inbuilt ones.
Oh, really?
They have like a load of inbuilt shortcuts that you can just select and install or add to your shortcuts.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's really good. Because I found that sometimes you just want to focus. I mean, I use Forest as I discussed before, but it's just like an extra thing. If you want to make sure the world knows not to bother you as well, then yeah, it's a good way to do it.
Exactly.
It's a polite way of doing it as well, instead of just setting yourself to DND and saying, go away, or people messaging you and saying, I am unavailable.
I even considered time blocking personal time just to make sure that I take it. I've done a lot of, even though I haven't tracked the hours, which I probably should have done, I've done a lot of pottering in the evening, where I've just kind of gone, I'll have a look at this, I'll have a look at that. I'm not really doing something intentional, but I am kind of working. And so that isn't good.
It's sometimes good. I mean, our company's actually trying to push us towards taking some personal time in the day because, obviously with lockdown, it's heavily impacting people's mental health. So they've sort of reminded us that, you do have a lunch break, so make sure you take it.
That's good.
If go outside, step away from your computer. It's not like they're saying you have to work, which is quite nice to hear from your employer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's something that I need to think about more. I already book my lunch in every day. People will still try and book over it if they could. So I think I just need to get a little bit better at saying no to things. But yeah, so that's how my week's been. What about you? What's your week been like?
It's been fantastic.
Oh, wow.
It's been positive. I've had actually quite a lot to do, but
brilliant.
We sort of touched on the automation piece. Like it's been pushed forward in a very good way for me this week in terms of trying to implement stuff that goes into our ticketing system as well. Which, it sounds a bit counterintuitive because I take some of that work away from me, but that's kind of one of my goals that I was discussing with some of the team in terms of getting some of these tasks pushed away from me without me having to necessarily go and tell that person, can you do this for me? It's just, So it's been very productive from an automation piece and from a work piece. Personally, my exercise has fallen down the pit.
Yeah,
me and Kerry made... I keep calling them protein flapjacks because they've got oats in them, but they're basically like homemade protein bars with a bucket load of chocolate on top. So not healthy, but...
I don't think you can call it a protein flapjack.
It's got protein powder in.
Oh, right, I see. Okay. Because what you said there was, because it's got oats in. I'm like,
oh, yeah.
I don't think that's how it works.
So yeah, I tend to feel like if you spend more time doing something else, one area tends to suffer, and especially with the weather, it's minus. Like this morning, it was -4 when I got up, and I've got thermals on now and a shirt and jeans and extra underwear because I'm frozen. But getting that motivation to go outside and go for a run is just pitiful for me. But that's what I'm going to work on next week.
A weekly segment we do here to try and instill some positivity in the world is we talk about our wins of the week, and where we both bring a win that we have that we've achieved this week, and it could be personal, it could be business, and we talk about it. So yeah, I'm happy to go first. as you asked
Yes.
the question. So my win of the week happened about an hour ago, interestingly.
Oof. A latecomer.
This week has been good, right? Don't get me wrong. From a business point of view, whilst I've had a lot of time spent in meetings, those meetings have been really productive, and they've been, pushing things into the right the right place. But the thing that made me really happy and kind of sparked joy in my life is consolidating my audio recording rig into a single machine. To provide a little bit of background, Dan, you know this, but for people listening, before that, we would be recording on our Macs. I'd be recording on my Mac with my microphone, but then I would be talking to you via FaceTime on my iPad. So I would have a little headphone underneath my big headphone, so I could hear you whilst I could hear myself, and it was fine. And I know you're still doing that, and it's fine, right? But what I wanted to do, because I wanted to take notes on my iPad from what we're talking about, I wanted to try and consolidate it into one station, one battle station, if you will. And I've got a really nice webcam as well. So it kind of felt like I was, I wanted to use all of that tech, and I wanted to do that. So I've started recording my voice on Audio Hijack, and we did try and get a backup of the recording on Discord, but that didn't work. So we're just recording. I'm just recording on Audio Hijack. The actual process of it, though, was mental. It was really actually quite a long process, and it's because of the way that macOS Big Sur handles user-defined kernel extensions. I'm not technical; I don't really get it, but basically, I had to restart my machine.
Enough.
Yeah, I had to restart my machine 3 times. One of the times, I had to press and hold the button, go into security utility, and select reduced security because of the way that it records from multiple sources, and it basically allows you to spend time on something like Discord. You hear my vocal, but also record the vocal at the same time. There's no other way of kind of doing that, because we've tried, right? It's just not worked. Yeah. So that was a bit of a nut ache, a bit of a ball ache, but it works now, and it's so much smoother. I've got my iPad here, I can take notes, and I can see all the little dials moving and stuff, and so it made me feel really good. And
I also just prefer the webcam view, if I'm honest. Like, I'm still on the iPad, and it's fine, and it does its job, but I find where the camera is and when we're talking, I feel like I'm looking off into the distance.
Exactly.
I look like one of those funeral photos from the 80s, so just looking off sideways.
Brilliant. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think that I'm looking at you, and my notes are just over there. And so, it's just a nicer experience. So, the Audio Hijack cost me 50 quid, so it's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things in comparison to, if you were to buy Logic or whatever it might be. But well,
that's my issue though, is like, your investment's 50 quid to do this. I've still got to update my Mac to get my ideal workstation. Yeah. Because I've got the MacBook Air from like 2018, so I'm using the old charger, and I need the one I would like the one that has USB-C. So because my work laptop's USB-C, I can just straight up unplug my work laptop and put my my recording laptop, let's call it my podcast laptop, and I'm just ready to go. Same setup, same webcam, same monitors. Because at the moment I've got one HDMI out from my Mac just going into one monitor, and I've got a blank monitor next to me. So it's like... It's fine. It does, it serves its purpose, and it makes for light Saturday morning conversation, but it's not ideal.
The whole USB-C thing, it's quite new to me, because and we'll get into the detail in today's episode, but I've only had this Mac for a few months, couple months actually, and just being able to plug one cable in and it just do everything. It charges it. This monitor that I've got has all of the USB peripherals hanging out of it, like the webcam, like the microphone, etc. It's just so nice, just being able to go, right, bop, see you later. It's even got my time machine backup on there as well, so it literally has everything. So consolidation of computer equipment has been my win of the week. What about you, mate? What's been your win of the week?
With my Stream Deck, I decided to set up OBS because I wanted to do some sort of more in-depth tutorials for our website when it's up and running. in terms of like, you know, the concepts we talk about. I use Todoist inside and out. I use it every day without fail. So my plan was that I was going to start doing just little short videos to say, like, this is what I've improved in Todoist and this is how I use it. Because like my girlfriend uses Todoist, a couple of friends use Todoist, and it's just, you know, providing some pointers, not necessarily training videos, but just, you know, extra content. So I was testing in terms of sharing my left monitor, right monitor, my webcam, and like a different app. Today on my list of things to do is to test sharing the iPad, so I can just go through the app and just instead of recording the screen and having to transfer it in, I'd just like to do it live and talk about it as I'm going along. So it's something I wanted to do for a while. It's just sort of, I don't necessarily want to do deep dive tech tutorials, but just, you know, to back up some of the stuff we're talking about, it'd be nice to see some of these apps in use instead of having to download it and fumble your way around it.
Yeah.
Someone at work messaged me and asked in terms of staying productive at work, because I've been at home for a very long time. Like even before the pandemic, I was at home, and I've managed to cope for a long time. So he was asking how I managed to stay productive, and I sort of pointed him towards Todoist, and I was thinking it'd be nice to just send him a link and say, yeah, this is how I use it, instead of sending screenshots and saying, you know, these are all my projects and all of my personal things, have a look. It's like, I'd like to just be able to say, this is how you create a project and this is how I use it, and, you know, pass on some of that info. So that's probably my win of the week, is just making sure that OBS was set up and that was working effectively. So with the Stream Deck, you press like, I've got it synced up so it says left monitor, and when I press it, it'll start recording my left monitor, and if I press right, it will overwrite that and put my right one.
Right, gotcha.
It's like if I didn't want to be on my webcam, I just press the webcam button and turn myself off, and the record button's there, so everything's all on one Stream Deck.
I need to get one of these Stream Decks. I need to get one. I love that.
Honestly, it's been a game changer for my automation, even in terms of emails. I know you've got similar things that you do on Mac, but literally I've got a button that I press and it's like, hi customer, here's the logs that I need for, you know, like with common issues. I'm like, these are the logs I'd request, and, you know, I just change a couple of details and it saves so much time. I also have another win of the week, which is something we discussed, I'd say probably about 6 months ago. You turned me on to iPhone shortcuts.
Oh, yeah.
And you told me to have a look, and I did, and I didn't really have that nagging feeling where I was like, do you know what, I have to do something. I just kind of looked at it and thought, they're cool. And since I've been doing a lot of automation at work, I've started automating quite a lot of tasks in my personal life as well. So you'll get a text at 12 o'clock today with a link to our Dropbox folder, which will say, my audio's been uploaded. Here you go.
We've talked about automating our friendship, Dan. Come on.
Yeah, if I can just get someone to talk for me, we're fine.
I love it.
That's been a very big win for me. In terms of another one I've got, which someone might be interested in, is that my phone will notify me on a Friday night and say, are you doing your podcast tomorrow? I say yes. And it says, what episode is it? And I'll type the episode. If it's just literally the number, so next week I'll type 7, and it will just create a Dropbox folder in our Thrive Guys folder, and that's it. Brilliant. Ready to upload to.
I think I said something about Siri shortcuts. It was months ago. I think it was even when we were sort of out and about, because I don't use them that much anymore, because I spend more time just sitting in front of my laptop, right, than I did on my phone. And, you know, because obviously you can't use shortcuts on the Mac yet. I would love for that to happen, because, you know, I don't really know Apple Script or Automator or anything like that, and it's probably a bit too far for me in terms of my comfort zone. But Siri shortcuts is great. I can just crack on and use that, and you know, I've got a number of different shortcuts set up to, you know, do the lights in here and things like that, to kind of context switch and all that good stuff, which I'll kind of talk about in a bit more detail later on.
Yeah, so I use the Echo for that in the same way, which is perfect. But like, I've got such a simple shortcut because I have a business email for when I do my music production, and I always have to type it out manually, and it's like, I just can't be bothered. So I've got a shortcut. So if I know I'm going to email it to someone, I hit the shortcut and it copies my email to my clipboard. Nice. So it's like, you could also just have your templates as shortcuts and just copy it to clipboard and just paste it. Yeah. So if you were doing anything on your iPhone, and you could set that shortcut or set it as automation to just run through, and it will copy to your clipboard and send to someone. The only thing I found that was a bit of a limitation is that I couldn't get it to send group messages on WhatsApp. Oh, okay. So you can send like individual messages, but there's third-party software for that, and I was like, I don't really need it that much. I was kind of toying with the idea of being able to press a button and send a text into our group chat to say, is anyone about for some games? And that's it. Nice. Ping, one button. But at the moment, it now just goes to one person. I say forward on the message.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm a chain mail now. So
You say that. I used to have a shortcut that I'd run every day that basically sent a text message to Kaylee saying, "How's your day going?" And it would be like a one button press.
yeah.
And then I automated it so that it would send it automatically at a specific time. So I was basically automating my relationship.
Did she automate it in response? Just say, "Yes, okay, you," and then it just rinse, repeat. If message received, send back.
If I didn't do that though, I would forget, and it was just that prompt to do that every time. And so yeah, maybe. I mean, it sounds bad, but it's not bad. It was made with the right intentions, but they probably said that about the Terminator as well and Skynet. So. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I've gone the other end of the spectrum where I've automated a text at 7 p.m. on a Thursday to text Kerry and ask her if the bins have been taken out yet. I mean, not as in to say do it, but as in to say, look, if it hasn't been done, just text me back. Because when you go back to like normal life, if she's out or I'm out, it's nice to just send that text and for her to go, "No, I haven't done it," and I'll do it. Or so can you do it? And I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm home." Do you know what I mean? Because I find that getting a calendar appointment, it just pops up and you're like, "Yeah, all right, cool." But yeah, automation's been my win of the week this week, and I hope that it carries on from that point.
And the OBS piece as well. That sounds really interesting. Yeah. I think what might be nice, as you said, is actually, we talk about some of the technology that we use on this, and it may be nice to broaden our sort of media content delivery piece to those kind of, I guess you could call them field guides, or like just quick field guides on, okay, this is what I'm talking about on episode X or Y. So that's nice, man. I love that. And OBS, setting that up, easy. I'm guessing you're using your Windows machine for it, because
I've had OBS installed for ages, because when I jump on like tech calls, and I do take a lot of notes, but I like to refer back, and it's like sometimes everything will get covered very quickly, so you want to revert back. So sometimes I'll just be like, look, I'm just going to record it for my own personal benefit. It's not, obviously you notify people if you're recording them, but I just record the screen. So if somebody's like, "Oh yeah, it's here," I don't have to be like screenshot and then make a note it's at this location or whatever. Especially when it comes to tech stuff, there's quite a lot of information to kind of digest very quickly. So it's nice to be able to revert back, and it allows me to keep like a repository of like, this is that technology we were talking about, or this is an upgrade we were talking about. So I used it at work for quite a bit, and then it was just, migrating it to personal stuff.
Cool. Nice. Love it. So we're going to take a little bit of a departure today from process, I suppose. And, a lot of the conversations that we've had so far have been process, technology, and very meta in terms of, this is how I want to live my life and this is the person I want to be. This is going to be a bit more about things, specifically about our battle stations, our workstations. I
like that terminology.
I love it.
Sounds better than my title, the original working title, which was desks. Desks. Let's talk desks.
Let's talk desks. Over the last 12 months, I think it's fair to say that you and I have become more keenly interested in working from home setups and desk setups and things like that. And, it's a topical conversation. For me personally, I worked from home sometimes. You worked from home obviously a little bit more than I did, but for me it was, maybe once a week, maybe once every couple of weeks. And obviously that has changed quite significantly. Now this is the normal. And as a result of that, we've seen our needs for our workstations evolve over time. So what I was hoping that we could dig into today, go back in time, let's talk about what your working environment was maybe 12 months ago, and what you were using, and what that kind of starting point was, and what were your catalysts. Why did you feel as though you needed to make some changes? What were the benefits you were hoping to achieve? And then I'd be quite keen to go through the gear in a bit more detail and go through those changes that you made over time, and what were the benefits that you actually realized, and what changes did you see to your productivity as a result of making these changes. So it's a little bit of let's have a bit of a gear out in the middle there. But ultimately, where were you at before? Why did you sort of make the case for change in your world, and what were the benefits that you sort of received off the back of that? So that's kind of what I want to go through today. How does that sound? Does that sound like a good place to spend some time?
Yeah, and it's something I'm super keen on.
Lovely.
I mean, if you sit on a bag of pins for long enough, you're eventually going to get a sore ass. So that's why. That's why I.
Every episode, you come out with something, and I just can't. Just can't. If you sit on a bag of pins long enough, you're going to get a sore ass. Dan Short, 2021.
It's true. And that's my point, though. The first desk was just not comfortable, but it was there, and I used it, and I was fine with it. But you get to a point where you spend every day working from the same position, the same location, and you just get. It's not even about getting cabin fever and getting a bit sick of it. You start getting aches and pains. I had a desk that was it was a small IKEA desk that had a chest of drawers inbuilt on the left, so it meant that I had no room for my legs, and I'm 90% legs, so it was very difficult. And I found that I was sitting like cross-legged, so my leg was up, and it's fine for a bit. You're in a meeting and you sometimes sit, cross your legs, you lean a bit, but then once you've done that 15 times in a 10-minute window, you start getting aches and pains. And so out of necessity, I had to move to another desk. Like, my desk story is pretty much Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I had a desk that was too small, then I had a desk that was too big, and now it's just right.
It's just right.
So yeah, my first desk was too small.
I remember that desk. It was tiny. You were really cramped in on there.
I made more space for myself by putting like a desk unit that had storage under it. So my monitor was higher up, because that's what I found first, is that my monitors were too low. So my upper back would hurt, lower back would hurt, legs would hurt. So I was like, I can't keep doing this. And at work, I used to have a stand-up desk. So it was, the dream.
Yeah.
So yeah, my desk was too small, loads of clutter in the drawers, stuff that I didn't need, because I'd get a letter and Kerry would say, "Oh, can you read this?" And I'd go, yeah, later, just throw it in my drawer. Or, "Oh, you left a pen on the side. All right, chuck it here, straight in the drawer." And then I get a new notepad. I'm like, I could do with a new notepad in the drawer. I then put the feelers out. I was looking on IKEA again, because that just seemed to be the place to go for desks at the time. And I wanted an L-shaped desk. I can't remember why. I think it was because I wanted my monitor in the corner, and I wanted room to have like my other laptop on it.
Okay.
But what I found is, because it was for work, I just had my laptop, one monitor, and then I used a keyboard, mouse, my work phone, like desk phone. And then it was just a load of extra space.
Yeah.
Like just sheer space. It was quite nice, because one of my friends, it was huge, but I got that one for free off a friend.
Oh, brilliant.
So I was like, this is amazing. I just texted into a chat and just said, is anyone selling any desks? He was like, I'm actually just getting rid of this. I want it out of my house. I was like, this is amazing. So I felt when I got rid of that, I wanted to gift it to someone else as well. So I gifted that to my dad as a work desk.
So just to kind of dig into that, because we'll share some pictures in the show notes. And one of the things that struck me as sort of similar, and I just kind of wanted to understand it a bit better from your point of view, was your pre-setup. Where you started had your laptop as your second screen. And so obviously you've got what looks like a 24-inch screen on the right-hand side. 27-inch screen on the right-hand side, and then a 14-inch screen on the left-hand side. How did you find that?
I didn't.
Right.
It was hell.
Yeah.
But the whole point was that if I was going to be a home worker, I like to feel like I'd be able to do my job effectively anywhere, which would mean sometimes working from a laptop and working, like having the benefit of having an extra screen. Like, you can't always be that fortunate. Like, I go to site sometimes and I think, imagine if I got there and just said, sorry, I can't work under these conditions. I haven't got 4 screens, or I haven't got my iPad. I haven't got this keyboard, so it's painful. I kind of felt like you just have to deal with it. And that was when I first started working from home. So it was like, I'm just going to deal with it and try my best with what it is, and then invest as we move onwards. The whole point as well is that my house, where I'm located in my house at the moment, is my living room. And it was never meant to be an office space. So I've had to gradually as well chip away at Kerry to get more and more desk stuff in here. And now that I'm at home permanently and I don't know what the current situation is going to be, it was more like, do you know what, this is a necessity, as opposed to like, I just want a bigger desk. Because I remember when I got the L-shaped desk and I brought that home, she was fuming. She was like, that can't go there. It's a massive, big old black L-shaped desk that takes up half the living room.
It is the biggest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was just
It's like a car in your living room. Well, it was like a car in your living room.
Literally, dump truck. I had to chip away at her to get into that kind of state. But now I'm allowed to have a stand-up desk and I'm allowed to have 2 monitors in the corner because I am going to be here. That's not changing. Whereas before it could change, and I'd spent a couple of days in the office and a couple of days at home. Sometimes I'd be in the office all week. So it's like, you don't want to have that big desk just gathering dust. And, a dark desk does gather dust quite quickly, especially when you've got a dog running around the house. So what about you from your original setup? You had a similar one, didn't you?
Yeah, so I was in a slightly different position to you where I would be mainly field-based. I'd mainly be out and about. So I would mainly work from my iPad when I was out of the quote unquote office, whether that's home or in the office. And I worked from home very, very occasionally. And so my setup kind of reflected that, I suppose.
That's the dream as well, though, just working from the iPad, isn't it?
It was a bit of a challenge, but I made it work because basically I wanted to work from the iPad. It wasn't that it was better. It was just because I wanted to do that. There was an emotional kind of decision that I'd made where it's like, I want to be the kind of person that can work from their iPad. So I made lots of compromises in order to actually achieve that. And actually it worked and it was fine. And, I'm an email monkey anyway. I write email and I update our CRM. At the time anyway, that was how I worked. And I used OneNote, Microsoft OneNote for all of my notes. So actually it worked quite well. So I had a gaming monitor that was like 1080p. I hooked up my work Windows laptop, and I was in the small office in the other side of the house. And so it was kind of a bit of an afterthought. It was like, right, well, what do we use this room for? Okay, well, we kind of need an office. So, Joe, you can just work in there when you work from home kind of thing. So I had an office chair that I bought from Argos for like 80 quid. And it was fine. Yeah, it was fine. Now, that obviously changed as sort of time went on, and I moved away from using my Windows laptop to a MacBook Pro. It was a very old MacBook Pro, but I wanted to make it work. I wanted to, again, it was an emotional decision that I'd made that I'm sick of using this Windows thing. I want to use a Mac. I use a Mac outside of work, and I want to do that. So really, this was not important to me whatsoever. I didn't care about the desk. I didn't care about having a nice work environment because I just wasn't there often enough, and I just, it just didn't seem important to me.
Seems like a waste of money because you get no use out of it, right? If you're there one day a week, what's the point in painting the room kind of thing?
Exactly.
What's the point in setting up a nice little lighting rig, all that sort of stuff? If you're just going to walk in on a Friday and sort of potter around with your coffee for a bit and then sit on the sofa anyway, or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and let's be honest, right? I would travel so much during Monday to Thursday that Fridays were kind of just, well, let's just do some admin. I wasn't doing, meaningful work. It's admin, it's emails. I didn't need anything too fancy as a result. So that's my current. That was my current situation. 2019, early 2020. So obviously things have changed for the both of us, and things have changed for the world, and we are now working from where we are now. So what was the things that you started feeling friction with in terms of, okay, I need to start spending some money on some stuff. So what was that catalyst for you?
Boredom. I'm going to be completely honest. It was boredom.
Yeah,
like
I get that.
You get familiar, and like there was something so good about just, even if you're an office worker or a home worker, there's something nice about breaking that routine of like going out, seeing your colleagues, then coming back. Even if it's one day a week, your week becomes so much shorter just by doing something like that. And I found that sitting and staring at the same screen or the same two screens it got boring.
Yeah.
Like my large desk that I had, the car that was in my living room, I didn't really have any problems with, other than the fact it was gathering dust and there was so much unused space on it. So it was just wasted real estate. Like I would rather give it to someone that would make use of that space. Like my dad is using it at the moment, I think, for like a proper workstation in terms of like for doing soldering and all that sort of stuff. And he showed me a picture of it and it's full. Yeah, exactly.
dad.
Just typical.
Who the solders anymore?
At least someone's getting use out of that. But yeah, my change was mainly born out of boredom. I wanted to have something that I felt more comfortable with, and I feel like I'm finally at a position where when I start work in the morning, I'm not faffing about. I'm not moving stuff. Like I'm not clearing my desk because I take pride in my desk at the moment. Like even when I finish shift on a Friday, I'll shut things down. Like I'll put my laptop in a bag so my desk's clear, and I'll get ready for the podcast on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Like my cables are sorted, whereas before I just throw stuff on it, and it's like it's nice to have a sense of pride in not just what you do, but what you work on and how you present yourself. Like I would like for someone to come in and just look at my desk and be like, that guy is a professional.
Yeah.
When eventually people can come around, I mean, it's going to be a bit difficult because my desk is fairly expensive and fairly clean. I guarantee if we start having parties again in the future, it'll be a drinks table. This is where the beer pong will be.
I can imagine that when people start coming back round, I have someone in mind, but I won't name them, will literally be like, so is that standing desk then yet? And he'll just start pressing all the buttons, right? And I'll tell you who I'm thinking of outside of this, right? But and they'll raise it up to like 150 centimeters, and then they'll start rocking it and being like, oh, it's pretty sturdy, that, and yeah, if I was in your position, no one's allowed to touch that now. That's not allowed.
No. But that's my point, though, is if you take pride in it, then you respect it, and people will ultimately feel that and respect it as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mention that. I know I said it out of boredom, but yeah, there's the health benefits of having a stand-up desk and having a decent chair and stuff like that. So yeah, that also kind of ties into my reasoning for it. So yeah, sorry about that.
Well, let's circle back round then, because dig into some of the things that you said around the way that you feel differently about your desk now to perhaps the way that you did before. Because you sent me some photos, and the old world is cluttered, but the new world is not cluttered at all. So, you talked about having a clear desk, and they always say a clear room or a clean room is a clean mind, and and I guess a clear desk is a clear mind in the same way. So boredom was one thing, or for sort of the catalyst to change. So what were you trying to kind of get? No, you talked about novelty, but you didn't talk about novelty. You talked about sort of a change of scenery, and I guess novelty does improve productivity. So what were the kind of things that you wanted to get in terms of value? Like, where did you want to see, if you kind of pictures yourself in your mind's eye, where did you want to get to?
I want to be a home worker, and I want to be respected as a home worker, because I do feel like before the pandemic specifically, there was a bit of a stigma around home workers, and there's always this kind of joke that people will be at home with shirt on the top half and then pants below or whatever, wearing some budgie smugglers, or people just sitting on the sofa working with their laptop and stuff like that. And I figured if I want to work from home, I need to be as productive as I am in the office, if not more, to kind of justify it to myself. Because even when I say it to my friends, I'm like, yeah, I work from home, and they're like, bet you start late, finish early, sort of thing. And it's like, well, not really. And I kind of want that appeal to be in how I present myself from a desk perspective, especially when you're on video all the time. You want to have a good setup so you outwardly present yourself, not even just to the business, but like sometimes we're on video calls with clients, and if you're just in a shirt, but for me, I was on like a cramped desk and stuff, and you just kind of sat there in a small frame of view just talking to people because you don't want them to see behind you or whatever. Yeah. It's nice to just be comfortable and be like, yep, this is how I work and this is what I do. And, you're in safe hands kind of thing.
Absolutely. I think that's really important. And it's probably, for a lot of people who have gone through the same thing that we have, it is probably, I'm going to be on camera a lot more now. And so part of it is keeping up appearances, but part of it is changing the way that people perceive kind of home working, because that has changed massively over the last 12 months, because everyone's been doing it. So yeah, I totally understand that. And
there's the health benefits as well that I kind of lent into, because I kind of figured I didn't know what was going to happen with the pandemic. I didn't know how long I was going to be permanently at home. And I don't want to be sat on a chair that's going to do long-term damage to my back when you spend 8 hours a day. Same with like the stand-up desk. Like I just wanted something where I could be like, do you know what, today I'm going to stand up and I'm going to stretch. I'm going to feel healthy about my day. I'm going to, you know, it's especially if you want to take a break. If you're stood up, it's easy to just be like, right, I'm doing a bit of work. I set a timer for 25 minutes. That timer's up. I'm going to walk to the kitchen. You're not like, you know, patting your legs and going, right, time for a break. So it's kind of the psychology behind it is that you can just relax as well as get all of your work done. So what about you? What was the catalyst in you switching your desk and making it more efficient for you?
So for me, obviously, I've described kind of my pre-lockdown situation, and that worked fine for a time. Then the working from home full-time sort of kicked in, and I was very conscious that my situation just wasn't fit for purpose for someone who worked at this station for, 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. So the first thing I sort of flirted with was, okay, well, there's benefits in standing up, and there's benefits of, to your posture and all of that good stuff. And so I flirted with the idea of a standing desk. I bought a cheap thing off Amazon that was, a standing desk converter. I think it lasted about a week because I'm 6'2", and this thing just wasn't high enough. I actually had worse posture from using it than I did just sitting down. So, but probably one or 2 months, I was in the same situation that I was to start with, essentially.
But it's weird how your perception changes, because I remember seeing that picture of your topper on your desk and thinking, that is brilliant. And thinking, you know what, I could do with one of those.
Hindsight is one of those, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember being like actually blown away by it. I saw it and I thought, you know what, he's got his mouse on there, he's got his keyboard on there, and I just kind of, you envision yourself sitting there and just typing away, stood up, fully upright, and your monitors are above your head, so your back's perfect when you're thinking about it. And then somebody of your height kind of has it and is like, I mean, we're of similar height. You're a bit taller than me, but I assume I'd have the same issues.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that feedback. It's not necessarily useless. It'd be good for someone a bit shorter, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just sitting in this room just over there in a cupboard. So I'll get around to selling it at some point. But it just wasn't for me. And actually, like, the stability of it was poor as well, because it was, it was just a cheap topper. So I was cognizant that my desk setup wasn't what I wanted it to be. And then something kind of drastic happened where I had to move out of that office. Kaylee needed an office. She was working downstairs for a period of time, and it started getting colder, and she couldn't work downstairs anymore because it's colder downstairs. She was in the conservatory, and conservatories get cold in the winter.
I love that conservatory though for working. In the summer it must be
belting.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But in the winter, horrific. Absolutely horrific. We don't go in there in the winter because it's so cold. So, yeah, but it is what it is. So I had to move into what was my man cave, my games room, my sanctuary.
No girls allowed.
But that all went out the window because needs must. And so for a period of time, I worked on quite a pitiful setup that was my laptop on a vertical stand and my iPad plugged in via Duet, which is a screen, sort of, it basically makes it a secondary screen, which is really cool. It was really good. But that was propped up on a Google Home box. It was really DIY. And so I knew that, okay, this is going to be my office now, and I need to make this as office as possible, because I need to make this feel like I can be productive in, and this isn't just a place where I have fun, but I'm also having to work in here as well. So that for me was kind of my main catalyst, was moving into this room and then realizing something's got to change. I can't work like this long term. It just isn't going to fly. So for you, it was, your catalyst for change was boredom, but also I think you were probably cognizant of some of the things that I was cognizant of from a long term. Okay, I'm going to be here forever. I want to be. There was an identity that you wanted to have, right? Of being a home worker and being respected as being a home worker. So I get all of that. I resonate with all of that, and I'm sure a lot of other people do as well. Let's talk about the gear now, Dan. Let's talk about the gear. What did you buy and why? Let's have a nerd out. I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, me too. So we both have the same desk, the Flexispot desk.
Yes, we do.
Which has been and another friend of ours has it. So
they've made a good bit of pound and pence out of us, haven't they?
Yeah, but it was worth it, right? in terms of, I had no idea about that desk, and we were looking at loads of different ones, and we took advice from our strange Hungarian friend who just said, this looks like a good one. And we thought, all right, he bought it, I bought it. And then you thought, see how it goes, I'll buy it.
I didn't want to be left out.
Yeah, good choice of topper as well. I think it's sturdy. And this has been, like, in terms of the motorized going up and down, perfect.
Yeah.
So we both got that desk, and I found the size is, it's the dream. It's like a nice rectangle, not L-shaped, nothing fancy, just literally a rectangle. You could do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
I've got, for podcast, I've got the MV7, which I now use for work, which gives me pucker superior audio quality, which you can't really tell massively over voice calls, but it is what it is.
I think you can make a case that having a nice crispy microphone on your average Teams call does set you aside from the regular who uses their
AirPods.
Don't get me started on people who use wireless headphones for voice calls.
Yeah.
It is horrific. I didn't realize until someone else did it how bad they sound. They sound awful. I would much rather you would use the inbuilt laptop on your computer versus just using the wireless, because people have AirPods, right? They're like the most popular wireless headphone around, right? And they connect them up via Bluetooth to their Windows computer, and for some reason, I think it's because it's Bluetooth, and I don't know, there's some limitations in the technology or something, but it just sounds like absolute garbage. It's really poor, and you're better off using the inbuilt microphone on your laptop. Genuinely, I think.
I agree.
But you can take it to that next level where you can use a microphone like this. If you've got it available, you might as well use it, right? I think. And I have had comments from people saying, wow, your microphone's really, we can really hear you very clearly, Joe.
For me, it made more sense because I have my boom arm here for the podcast. So I was like, if I can just find a way to use that with my Windows PC and not have to worry about it. Like, I've got my headphones on a stand, which is a brilliant purchase. Like, just down on my left-hand side, I've got that hook that holds my headphones under my desk. So when I start my morning, I sit down or stand up, whatever I'm doing at that time of the morning. I put my headphones on. If I'm listening to music, I can do that without bothering my girlfriend. If whatever I'm doing, I can just have my headphones on, start talking to someone immediately. I don't have to think. I don't have to swap any apps around, stuff like that. And likewise, when I change to doing the podcast, I don't have to go upstairs, get my microphone, plug it in. It's like I just swap the cable from my dock.
Yeah.
So we've got the same microphone. I don't know if we've got the same boom arm. I think yours looks slightly different. Yours looks a bit more sturdy than mine.
I've compiled a list of all my gear that I'm gonna go through, so I can talk about that. But I do think we have a different one. I've got the Rode PSA 1 because it was the one that all the YouTubers said was good. So,
what else have I got on my desk? I normally have like my work laptop. The dock is really good. I've got a VAKO dock, which is USB-C, and it's got two HDMIs. Which I think that was the issue I had when I was looking for them. It was like 60 quid or something, 60, 70 quid.
What do you do with the dock? Is it something that you because your work laptop's just USB-C, right? So what does the dock do?
So it's got power pass-through, which was, again, something that was like a necessity to me. So my power's all plugged into the dock. So that's what I was saying about like swapping my work laptop for a Mac, because the power pass-through's there, so I don't have to keep swapping adapters and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's also got a hefty amount of USB ports, which is good.
Nice. Okay, so it's you plug it in via, it's got pass through, so it charges your laptop, but then it also gives you a bunch of other ports that you've got available as a kind of a hub. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic to be like, my work laptop's in my bag at the moment, not gathering dust, and I start on Monday morning, I pull my laptop out, put it on my desk, plug the USB-C in, and everything's ready to go.
Gotcha.
That's my stream. I mean, my Stream Deck has to be plugged into the laptop direct. I'm assuming it will work via the hub, but it just recommended when I was looking through the setup, it said just plug it directly into your laptop.
It's probably
you
a
might
power
get some
thing.
latency for a hub, or exactly. There's multiple reasons that it could be an issue. I didn't really want to look into it. I just kind of accepted. You built the product, if that's what you're saying.
Just follow the instructions. You don't need to know why. Just do it. One thing that is nice about Windows laptops is that they do have ports. So, apart from the power pass-through, you don't need a dock. But by taking up a USB port on your laptop, you're not going to kill yourself. Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly. So now at the moment, I have my microphone and my Stream Deck plugged directly into my laptop, and I'm ready to go. And I have the extra USB ports for charging my mechanical keyboard. the Keychron. I couldn't tell you what model it is. I was hoping to rely on you for that because...
Keychron K2 V2. Yeah, I got you into this, didn't I?
And you know what? I don't often swear, but I'm going to say I thought this was bullshit when I first heard about it. And I said that to you quite adamantly. I was like, this is a bunch of crap. Look at it. It's a keyboard out the flipping 80s and it's pants.
The smugness I feel that you're now in this zone with me is palpable.
I've tried multiple different keyboards and I've loved all of them, but this one, it was just the next level. And yeah, it's annoying. You get the clacky, because I've got, I think, the browns.
Yeah.
Or the brown key switches, whatever they're called. I'm not super hot on the terminology, if I'm honest.
You've got the Gator-on brown key switches.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't realise how much battery was being used up by the lights. Like, it drains the battery almost 10 times quicker, so I had to keep it on cable. But now I've turned because the lights look fantastic when you take it out of the box. It's doing all the RGB rainbow lights, and I even sent a picture to my family. I was like, look at this absolute crap.
You're such a nerd.
But I was so excited for it. I took it out of the box. I was showing Kerry. I was like, look, it's rainbow. But yeah, like you move from that to like maybe typing on your laptop. Like I even type my password in on my Mac sometimes. And I think I might just plug my keyboard in just to type the password because it's that much more clacky and that much, you feel like you're typing with intent and you know where your keys are.
It's satisfying.
Yeah, and like as I said, I thought it was crap, but as soon as I started using it, I was like, I get it. I'll be honest, because it's grey and my desk is brown, it does look a bit out of place, but I'm just fine with it.
No,
I could have that keyboard on my lap if I wanted and just...
It is really satisfying. I didn't think that I would be this kind of person. So before I bought the Keychron, I had the Apple Magic Keyboard. I think it's the Magic Keyboard. It's the one with the number pad, essentially. It's the one that comes with the iMac Pro. It was the space grey one. It cost me like 150 quid. It was an expensive keyboard, right?
Looks sleek though, doesn't it?
But it does look bloody nice. It looks really nice. And it was just a really nice experience. And yeah, it was the same typing experience as on my Mac and the same typing experience as on my iPad. So it was kind of consistent and that was nice. But typing with this... And it makes me laugh how you told me earlier in the week that you'd been using the RGB on the Keychron for all this time and you were charging your keyboard every day. And I was like, what? I charge mine like once a month. It doesn't take that long to charge and it lasts forever. But then I realised that, you were using all of the flashy lights.
Yeah, but it was cool. So I'd press a button and it would like filter out like a drip.
Yeah.
Amazing when you're typing in the dark.
Yeah, it's great, but you've got to charge it more times than you've got to charge your phone. So yeah, it's delicious power, but it comes at a cost.
So I mean, like little things on the desk. I've got a mouse pad that's got a wrist rest because obviously you're moving your wrist around all day, and there's a very real risk of RSI and stuff in today's climate.
Oh, for sure.
More so now than there has been. I don't want to end up with carpal tunnel or anything like that. So there's like the health concerns to think about. But other than that, in terms of gimmicks, like I could talk all day about the Stream Deck, maybe just because it's new, but that's been like the most valuable thing I've got on my desk for work and for personal.
I think we should do a full session on automation.
That's what I mean. I don't want to bore you to death with it.
No, you won't. I mean, I need to buy one for sure. It was on my Christmas list, so... I even think I told you about it, to be fair. And then now you've got one. And now I'm very jealous because when I tried to get one from the link that you sent me, it was, when Amazon doesn't have them anything in stock, but it doesn't really want to tell you. So it's like, dispatched in 4 to 5 months. And it's like, what? No, just say you don't have any in stock, man. It's fine. You're Amazon. You don't have to keep up this, vision that you always have stuff, Anyway, I'd like to do... I'm using Keyboard Maestro to do automation in my world, but I want to get a Stream Deck because I don't want to have to remember all of these keyboard shortcuts that I keep making up.
Yeah.
But it's something that I think we should dig into perhaps in a month's time when we've really got like loads of stuff that we've automated that we can then spend an hour nerding out about.
And it's been used for that amount of time, so you know your shortcuts. Because that's what I find is like you change something, and it's like remembering where you've put it.
Yeah.
So like I amended all of my Stream Decks to have a home button, which takes me to a main page, which goes into like work, personal, or email templates or something like that. So every page has the same home button, so I'm not thinking about it. And every page has a mute button for my microphone.
Yeah, nice.
So whatever I'm doing at the time, whether I'm going for email templates, I could just mute myself. But as I said, we can talk about this all day. So battle stations. What is the most valuable thing on your desk for you productivity wise? Not most expensive, but the thing that you get the most value out of.
Value? Okay, that's a good question. I mean, apart from the obvious, my new laptop is probably the one I get the most amount of productivity out of.
Let's exclude your laptop.
Okay. Whoa.
What gives you the most joy? Maybe not value then. What gives you the most joy?
The most joy is my little potted plant. It's lovely. Well, and also my PS4, which is also technically on my desk as well. That gives me lots and lots of joy. I have gone through a similar sort of thing that you have, and I've kind of like, you know, moved things on over time. And what I'll do is I'll share some kind of in progress pictures in the show notes, because it has made a number of changes over the last 12 months, and I've spent more money than I care to admit on the various changes that I've made. I think the thing that's made the biggest difference for me, though, before I kind of jump into that in terms of productivity, is the new monitor that I purchased. That's probably been the biggest step change in terms of from where I was to where I am, because, you know, everything that you do with your computer, and we both work in the knowledge sector, or whatever they call it, where we're basically office people. We work with laptops, and that's how we communicate, and that's how we work. Everything for that is done via the screen. That's your gateway into basically your entire existence from a professional point of view. Fair to say? And correct, so upgrading from what was a gaming, it was really, you know, 1 millisecond, but it was 1080p, and it was like 200 quid or something like that. It wasn't very expensive monitor, to the Dell Ultrafine. It's not an Ultrafine. It's a Dell Ultrasharp, I think. LG is the Ultrafine. Ultrasharp, 4K, 27-inch panel, IPS panel, USB-C connection. So it, like similar to yours, I've got one cable that goes to my MacBook, and this actually operates as the hub as well. So all of my USB peripherals, like my webcam, my microphone, my Time Machine backup, is all driven through the display. So I don't even have a dock. I literally have one cable that's going to my MacBook Air, and it powers the whole thing. And that is so cool. I did spend quite a bit of money on it, though. I spent about 500 quid, which in the grand scheme of like a 27-inch 4K IPS P3 color gamut panel. So this is designed for kind of, you know, graphic designers and stuff like that. It's that kind of
just think about all of those benefits you've just listed as well. Like, there's not really any negatives to it. So
no,
I tend to think about these things and think about the longevity of them and kind of associate that to the value. And I think that is a hugely valuable product that you've purchased, considering all of the extra functions it does. I mean, I never really considered that a monitor would do that. I don't do enough research into it. I just go, I need a new display. What's the best value for money, and what's going to look best? And like, my screens are fine. Like, I've got the Acer 27-inch. They're gaming monitors, so I don't have like super darks on it. But I don't really work with that kind of technology. That means that I need super sharpness. But would I like a better monitor? Yes. Would I like to move all of my applications to Mac? Probably. But in an engineering world, is that suitable? No. Like, that's the bottom line. I would love to just work from my iPad if I was able to. But because it's this big, I just fold it up, and the case is super smooth, and it's got a decent battery life, but it just won't work at the moment.
No, absolutely. And look, it's horses and courses, right? I always say that, for you, that makes more sense to you because you need more screen real estate. For me, I don't need that. I don't work like that, and I can work from my Mac and all of that good stuff. So, you know, it is a total horses for courses. But in terms of what's delivered the biggest boost in productivity, and also joy as well, I think, you know, this has been the linchpin that's held everything together, because I have literally everything hooked up to this thing. I've got my MacBook Air, I've got my PS4, my Switch, and my Windows laptop, which I use like once a month, all running through via HDMI. So the MacBook Air is USB-C, as I said. The other three peripherals are HDMI, that I then have stuck a HDMI switcher to the underside of the desk. So it's not on the desk, it's completely hidden. And I can just reach under and just click the button, and then that will cycle between these three peripherals. So that if I want to run my PS4, I can run that. If I want to then run my Switch, all I've got to do is switch my Switch on, and then bosh on the HDMI switch, and then we're good to go. So the actual linchpin that's kind of held it all together is the monitor. But it's not the only thing that I've changed. From the photos as I've shown you, Dan, and that I'll share in the show notes, this has gone through a number of iterations that I'll kind of try and briefly sort of go through. So this, I had an old Malm IKEA desk. It was black. It was kind of similar sort of color to the desk that you had, the L-shaped one, and it was a dust magnet. I had a 42-inch TV on, just sitting on it, because this is what I used for gaming. And then I just had my PS4 plugged in, and actually I was using my laptop and the iPad, as I said earlier. So I got rid of the TV. The TV, I need to find a use for it, because it was a relatively new TV, and it's not really worth selling. We could probably do something with it, but I don't know what yet. So yeah.
So I mean, how are you supposed to be productive when you think about it from this perspective, right? If you just, the way you've described your desk is you've got a laptop in front of you, which you're probably doing most of your work from.
Yeah.
And your iPad, which you're, dabbling in, or you're doing vice versa.
Yeah.
But then behind that, on the same desk, you've got your PS4, you've got a 42-inch massive TV.
Exactly.
And then wonder why, months down the line, you're feeling unproductive and you're feeling a bit like, I could do with change.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing like just even having a clear out and just getting rid of that. Like, yeah, you might play games and whatnot, but you've ultimately got to put your best interests first. So
yeah. Well, one of the things we talked about before is sort of context switching. And whilst this room still is my entertainment room, there are things that I do to switch the context that make it very easy for me to go, right, this is work time, this is home time. Do you know what I mean? So I've actually consolidated the number of things that I have on the desk. There's fewer things now than there ever was. I find it a lot easier now to differentiate, okay, this is work time, this is home time, even down to the lights that I use. Because, as you can see me at the moment, it's very, very bright in here because I'm running focus mode. So I have a Siri shortcut that basically runs all of my lights in here, and they're all white, and it makes it easy for the webcam to see me and stuff like that. This is how I do my work presentations. Now, when I play games, I run the relax shortcut, and then that completely changes the lights to more normal lights. And that for me is like I've basically triggered it in my brain to say, okay, that's relaxing. I kick back the chair and I relax and play games with my bros, and it's fine. It works. And so I totally agree with you. And this was one of the reasons why, look, I had to make a change. I had to make this work for me in both ways. So I got rid of the TV, okay? I upgraded the monitor. That was probably the second thing I did. And I put it on an old gas-powered monitor arm that I had. And actually upgrading the desk was one of the most recent things that I did. That changed maybe, it was just after Christmas, actually. 26th was when I set it up. I set it up on Boxing Day. So I bought some laptop stands. So I bought the 12 South BookArc for my MacBook, and I bought this other one off Amazon for my Windows laptop, because I basically wanted to make everything vertical so I could just stack up all my peripherals on the right-hand side of the screen, so that it just made it look a little bit neater, made it just a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And so this became a design choice. My room was designed, it's had some design applied to it.
Yeah, it definitely works as well, because it looks like they could be books.
Exactly. So, I kind of thought of it, rather than, I wanted to change my mindset from this just being a room that I play games in. It was a bit of a spare room, I suppose, to making it something else, to making it something that had purpose, so that I could feel purposeful in that room. Does that make sense?
So, no, I agree. So I'm at that point where I've applied purpose to everything on my desk. And, I sorted it out literally last week. I put all the cable, I took everything out, every cable I had, removed the stuff I wasn't using and cabled it up properly with cable ties. So it's like, this is it. It's cemented in that way. But now I'm at the point of trying to make it aesthetically pleasing. Like for me, it's great. I've got my Stream Deck in the middle. I've got my keyboard in front of me, and I've got my mouse on one side. So the Stream Deck could be reached with left or right hand. So it's like, that's perfect for me. But it just looks like a showroom office. No, in fact, it doesn't. It looks like a corporate office. Yeah. It's like, you'd walk into the boss's office and it's like his desk's clear, or maybe I'll put a cup on it that says world's best boss or something, but I don't have anything else on it that kind of screams, do you know what, this guy has a personality. Yeah. And my desk is bland as hell. And that's why I was sort of messaging you. Like, I don't think I need lights, but I do have a Philips Hue bulb, which is wicked, because we use it at night. It automates from like whatever time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you when my bedtime is because it's embarrassing, but from my bedtime, it turns the light on. It's 6:15, yeah. It turns the light on, and then over the hour it gets...
Sorry to interrupt, but you do eat dinner stupidly early.
No.
You're like, I finished work early, I'm going to eat dinner. You're like an old man. Sorry, I'll let you carry on. So I just had to say that.
No, I know. You're not wrong. I feel personally attacked because I know it's so true.
As you should.
So the Hue bulb light is automated. So from my bedtime, for an hour after that, it just gradually dims down. And that was born out of necessity because I always had the lamp was always on Kerry's side of the bed. So I'd have to say, can you turn this off? Like, we'll just be sitting there and she'll fall asleep with the light on. I'll be like, I can't lean over her. I'll crush her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was thinking about lights, and I might just maybe bring that Hue bulb downstairs because it's like a nice bowl shape.
Yeah.
And it's really nice if you're working late and you can put like a dimmer color on it, or like a blue light, whatever you want to do. Just change the color to something a bit more aesthetically pleasing.
Makes sense.
And I did have a plant from upstairs that I was going to move, but you know, that's what I'm in the market for now. So any hints and tips I would be grateful for.
As you can see, I have done lots of things there. So one of the things that I wanted to do, to your point, is to make this comfortable, make this a cozy place that I can not only work and feel comfortable with people seeing on webcam, but also somewhere that I can think and feel comfortable with just sitting in and just feeling at home. I didn't want it to be a corporate feeling place, or just spend all of my time and effort on the desk and not have any of my personality in there. So my advice would be take a trip to IKEA when we can see it and just buy some fake plants. Like seriously, the stuff I've got behind me, I've got I can't remember what it's called, but I basically got a set of shelves from IKEA, and I bought some baskets from IKEA that are kind of wire, so they're kind of like got this Industrial, exactly. That was the word I was looking for.
Kerry loves that sort of stuff. So I did, whilst you were saying that as well, I did just drop her a text saying maybe we should look at storage today, because we were talking about doing it in the living room, because we've got like a chest of drawers next to my desk that's just filled with crap, and it'd be nice to, assign some purpose. But let's carry on with the battle stations. I mean, I think we've covered off most of what we have. Yeah. What would you do to improve your desk? Or are you at a point where you're finally content? Because I'd like to explore this maybe in 3 months' time and see how you feel about your desk there. Well,
this is now, I'm through the looking glass now, Dan, because on my journey, I realised that I have somewhat of a fetish. Somewhat of a fetish for desk setups.
Yeah, Kaylee told me she walks into your room sometimes and you're hunched over in the corner looking at desks.
Hunched over on the desk setup subreddit.
But that's what inspired me, though, is you shared that with me and said, look at this desk. And I thought, bloody hell, I've been at home for a very long time and I should be that person. Like, my studio is very good. When you're recording and stuff, you're recording an artist, I think it's important to have vibe.
Yeah.
Like, at work, I don't care if I come downstairs. I don't need to vibe. I don't need a purple light on me whilst I'm talking to a client. But for me, like, I put a lot of effort into my studio, and actually Kerry did for my birthday, put a lot of plants and stuff in there, like a nice decent rug and stuff like that, and made some decent design choices. But I didn't really think about translating that into my work atmosphere. So once I started seeing these desks and realized that I'm one of those that's been at home for ages, I should have something I'm proud of.
Yeah.
So that's something that is on my list of things to do. Get some decent storage, get some kind of things that resonate with my personality, I guess, for my desk as well.
Absolutely.
Not just function.
Exactly. You want something that you walk in and go, oh, I love this. I love it in here. I love spending time in here. I love being productive in here. You kind of want to have that visceral feeling when you look at your setup and you go, that looks good, So to answer your question, what's next? I'm really happy, actually. I'm happy with the way that the desk is. I'm considering longer term replacing the top with real wood, and maybe I'll get a butcher's block or something like that, and so it'll be a bit thicker.
Oh, mate, yeah, I like that little textured piece of wood, and I get what you're saying now. Like, I don't have that desire to replace it yet, but I know what you mean. Like a bit more natural wood, so it's like a coffee shop kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I get it, and I can see the appeal.
Yeah, I would. So I'm thinking about things like that, and quite a popular thing on these desk setup subreddits is to use a kitchen countertop because they're treated and all that good stuff, and they just have a really nice aesthetic to them. So I think that's perhaps on the next, but that's not a productivity thing. This has become more of a hobby for me, just looking and thinking of different ways that I can improve the setup. Right in this room. I want to change the curtains. The curtains were from when we moved in. They're blue. They're fine, but I don't really like them that much. But yeah, and I think other than that, I probably would like to get a small chest of drawers that can just sit to the right here. I actually have loads of storage in here. It's pretty great. But I want to remove the big wardrobe in this room so it feels a little bit less. It makes the room feel a bit bigger. I think it will.
Yeah,
what I might do is put the TV back up somewhere in this room. So maybe wall mounted or something like that, where I can kick back and maybe watch some TV in here if me and Kaylee want to watch something different, for example. Just I can sit in the armchair that I've got over to the left here and just watch TV or whatever it might be. So yeah, but they're minor things, right? I've got it broadly the way I want it, which I'm really happy with, and actually it makes me really just enjoy spending time in here, even when I'm having to do like Teams meetings after Teams meetings. I kind of look around and I say, oh yeah, no, this is nice.
That's exactly the point. Like I'm going to regret saying this if anyone from work listens to the podcast, but I come downstairs in the morning. I think, do you know what? I'm ready for the day. I can enjoy work today. Like whatever comes my way. Like, and it's that mindset that you have just by looking at it. You're not sitting there going, oh crap, I've got to move. Oh, where's that bit of paper I left yesterday? Where's my notebook? It's like everything is where I want it and where I need it. Like for me, and I might change my approach entirely, but for me at the moment, I don't see any drastic changes coming soon. I feel like I'm finally at a position where I've got a setup that I can be happy with. So, I'll be keen to upload the pictures and see if any of the listeners have any suggestions at some point.
I'll give you my opinion because you didn't ask for it, but I'm going to give it you. For me, if it was my desk, I think you're about 85% of the way there. My only tweaks that I would make for you would be just a bit of greenery, just something a little bit that's like, so I've got this little plant here. I've got a HomePod Mini here, which I use for like listening to music. So that's like a nice little pop of color. And then I've got my Voltec Pip-Boy guy, my little Volt Boy, that just sits on my desk here, just as something that's just a little bit nice. So whatever that is for you, I would put something like that on there. And I'm a big fan of these big desk pads. We've talked about them before. I think you even suggested me carpeting my house with them, which Kaylee wasn't really that keen about when I showed her the episode. She was like, if you do that, I'm leaving you.
I just know you would if you could.
Oh, I love them. They're great. And this one was like £20 or something on Amazon, but you can spend an insane amount of money on them. I keep looking at new ones. I can't stop myself looking at new desk pads. So if it was me, I would suggest that you get one of those because it would just make it, rather than just like a big bit of reddy brown sort of wood, which, don't get me wrong, I've got the same desk as you. I like it. I think it looks nice. It just would be a good contrast if you got like a blue or maybe even like a dark red, like a maroon kind of vibe going on, or even like a mustard yellow or something.
Maybe I need some suggestions because the one I had just didn't really seem to stick to my desk enough, so it was sliding around. So yeah, we'll have a look at that at some point because I'd be keen to try some of these things out. I guess that's the whole point. The whole journey we've had throughout all of our iterations of desk. Weirdly, we've shared 3 kind of similar stories this morning, but I guess it's the point that it's all trial and error. It's what works for you. It's not just what works for you and I is kind of very similar, even though we're in different roles.
Yeah.
But we have the same purpose, and we both use a laptop. We both have screens. Like there's so many different ways you can do it. You could have 8 screens in front of you if it helped you to work more productively.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe my takeaway from this is I want to try and switch to one monitor at some point. Don't know how I'm going to do it or when I'm going to do it, but it's something I want to look into. Because, the change to using my microphone and headphones for work has only been like literally 3 or 4 days ago because our friend Grub was using it and I heard his audio quality. I thought, do you know what? I'm going to give it a go. He's doing it. The only thing is I had to buy a webcam to do it because when I'm using my computer for audio. My laptop's obviously shut. So before I was just answering calls on my phone, physical phone, which has a camera inbuilt. So it was like I had to invest in a like 50 quid webcam or whatever just to make sure I kept up appearances.
You should have said, because I've got a webcam that I need to get rid of now. So because I spent an amount of money I don't want to share on a new webcam, and I've got the 50 quid one that I bought 6 months ago that you could have just had. So, oh well, there you go. God damn it.
But yeah, I think, we've had very similar journeys, and it, you know, what works for you, what works for me is great, but you know, whatever works for everyone else is also great. Just try things out, I guess, is my advice to people.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing with the stand-up desk. None of us knew how well it would work. We just thought, it's quite expensive for what it is, but let's just give it a punt. And if it works, then great. If it doesn't, then it's going to be sold, I guess.
Absolutely. And I think that I was a little bit apprehensive about making the £400-500 investment that we had to make in order to get the stand-up desk, because I'd obviously had experience of it before, and I had a negative experience with it because it just wasn't quite what I was expecting. I was expecting to be, as you said, one of these, you know, developer bro, stand-up desk bros who are just like, oh, I'm really important and I'm just standing up, and maybe I was going to get a treadmill so I could be walking on meetings and things like that. But none of those things happened. Even now, I would never buy a treadmill to walk around on meetings. I think it's just a step too far for me personally, but that is what it is. But
like the pun,
what I've noticed, because I track the data on my watch, is I always hit my stand goal now. Now I've got the stand desk, because I stand for meetings, because I find that actually, because I'm stood up straight, my diaphragm and my voice and the way I can deliver presentations and things is just better when I'm stood up versus when I'm sitting down. I have a tendency to slouch a little bit when I sit down, even though I've got a chair that is comfortable and all of that sort of stuff. So actually standing up for me has been transformational in the way that I can actually deliver my pitch and all that good stuff. So it's been interesting. I think one of the things in terms of my takeaway from this conversation is we've both found a new hobby. I think, to take a real step back and zoom out all the way to its kind of, its macro level, we've gone from people who don't really care about the desk and don't really care about our workstations to being people where actually we're just interested in that sort of thing. And that's fascinating from my point of view. It's taken us transitioning from a multi-location working environment where sometimes we'd work from home, sometimes we work from the office, etc., to a full-time working from home environment. And it's given us something new in terms of, not maybe a passion is too strong a word, right? But it's something that we're interested in. It's something that we always kind of are looking to refine and review.
Something that people bond over as well in our chat.
Exactly.
I like getting a text where somebody says, have you seen this? And it's like, people discuss it. It's a talking point, especially when you end up going around in circles in conversation because we've been at home for so long.
Yeah.
You're not experiencing anything new. So it's nice to be able to say, look, this is something new that's coming out. Is it something you'd be interested in? And people saying, oh, no, it's not for me because I don't need it. Or, yeah, you'd really benefit from this because, you do this. It's like, it's nice to have that as a talking point. And yeah, you're right, it is a hobby. And I really enjoy my desk and I really enjoy making improvements to it.
Yeah, me too. That's all we have time for today. So I think that's a good place to leave it. Thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to our show. And if you really, really liked it, please consider giving us a 5-star rating. That really helps us out. It helps us grow our audience. So, only if you loved it, but if you did, then that'd be really good. If you'd like to hear more from Dan or myself, please follow us on Twitter @ThriveGuysPod. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Say goodbye, Dan.